What is up, everybody? Stacey Blackwood here and Jake Thomas with another episode of Tide Talk Live. It's game day, Jake. It's Alabama versus Tennessee. It's the third Saturday in October, one of the best rivalry matchups in all of college football. And it happens to be between two top 10 teams this week, Jake. How excited? First of all, how are you doing? I know you're a little under the weather. Thank you for being here. Uh, how are you doing this morning? And I know you're looking forward to this matchup this afternoon.
Yeah, I'm looking forward to it. And yeah, I'm a little under the weather. I'm white faced. I have no color right now. I'm coughing my head off, got the crud. But I've made it here. And one other thing I wanted to say real quick: if you hear my dog in the background barking, I have a house beside me that's for sale. I think they're showing it off this morning, so there's people walking out in the backyard and stuff. So if you hear her barking, I apologize for that up front.
So not only is Jake having to battle, not feeling well, he's having to kind of wrangle up his dog from barking at the neighbors. But
Yeah.
regardless, we are here and we're here to talk some Alabama football. But before we do that, as always, you know the drill. We want to hear from you guys. Jump in the comment section and drop your score predictions for this matchup with Alabama and Tennessee. Make sure you hit that like button, and if you're not already, smash that subscribe button so you don't miss a single video here on Tide Talk Live. And also, you can find us on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, Amazon Music, just wherever you find great podcast. All right, Jake, let's just dive right into this matchup, Jake. It's a heavyweight bout this week. Alabama's got a 15-game winning streak against the Volunteers. None of them have really been close. In fact, only two of the matchups have been decided by single digits. So Alabama has really dominated the series over the last decade and a half, but this is probably the best Tennessee team in that time frame. What are your thoughts here on this matchup with the Volunteers?
Excuse me. I'm really interested to see number one, how healthy Bryce is. That's probably the biggest question going into this game right now is his health and if he's going to play, which I have seen a lot of indications that he is going to play. Um, and the other thing is, I saw this the other day. It's kind of interesting, but the last time these two teams played each other and both teams were at least in the top 25, Alabama won 49 to 10.
Hmm.
I mean, I think Joshua Dawes was the quarterback for Tennessee back then, but I mean, you talk about that dominance. Alabama has dominated this series the last decade and a half or so. But this, like you said, is a different Tennessee team. Hendon Hooker looks like he's one of the best quarterbacks in the nation. The only concern for Tennessee is their defense. Anthony Richardson shredded them through the air and through on the ground. And if Bryce is anywhere close to being healthy, he's probably going to double that number because he's definitely a better passer than Anthony Richardson. So I'm excited. The defense is still playing lights out. The only points they gave up last week is when they had to play with a short field. When A&M had to sustain a long drive, they couldn't do it. The defense held. So defense playing lights out. Offensive line to me seems like they're getting better. So the biggest question is the health of Bryce Young going into this game.
Yeah, I think that's really where when you talk about this matchup, where it all starts is what is the status of Bryce Young? I'm with you. From everything I'm hearing, he's probably going to play this afternoon, and obviously that just increases Alabama's chances of winning because I mean he's the reigning Heisman Trophy winner. He's arguably the best quarterback in the country, and Hendon Hooker, like you mentioned, is right there with him. He hasn't thrown an interception all season long in 140 plus pass attempts. So he takes care of the football and he leads this Tennessee offense the way he's supposed to. And Josh Heupel has to be happy with his offense, the way they're playing. They're one of the best offenses in the country. And, credit to Heupel. He's really turned around that program really fast. But you mentioned the defense, Jake, for Tennessee. And they're 87th in total defense in the country entering this contest. And with a healthy Bryce Young, with Jahmyr Gibbs really finding his way in this
Mm-hmm.
Alabama offense, the offensive line starting to find their rhythm and cohesion as a unit. It's just about the wide receivers for me for Alabama.
Right.
Uh, who steps up? Who's going to be that number one target? Once it looked like Ja'Cory Brooks, maybe Jermaine Burton, maybe a freshman like Kobe Prentice or Isaiah Bond. Trayshawn Holden actually leads all receivers in receptions at the moment. So it's really been a by committee approach. And we talked about that being a possibility in the preseason, but you would still like to see that one guy step up that you can rely on when you need a big third down, like Mechie was last year for Alabama and Bryce Young. So it's really about finding that true number one target at wide receiver. But other than that, the Alabama offense is really clicking on all cylinders. Jahmyr Gibbs is to me the most explosive player in the country.
Mm-hmm.
He's got, no matter how you get him the ball, he has a chance to take it to the house every time he touches it. And I'll look for another. I think he had 24 total touches against Texas A&M last week. I look for a similar number, even if Bryce Young does play for Alabama, because I think Bill O'Brien is realizing that Gibbs is his best playmaker, and it's important to get him the ball as many ways as possible. And I really think that's going to be a key for this Alabama offense in this contest.
Yeah, Jahmyr Gibbs has come alive for the last couple of weeks. It's good to see somebody take over that running back position, which I had a feeling he was going to anyway. Now we still got some studs back there. Jace McClellan is going to get his touches. Roydell is going to get his. But man, it's like you said, this offensive unit is clicking. And I'm with you. Another guy who I want to point out is I want to see Cameron Latou start stepping up. He's had a couple of big drops. He's got to start playing better because he feels like he could be a safety net for Bryce, and he needs to be that safety net and a check down option if something's not open downfield. So I like to see him start getting the ball and start catching it and start improving a little bit.
Yeah, I want to touch on a few things real quick, Jake. What's the biggest area of concern for you in this contest for Alabama?
I would say it would be the health of Bryce.
Okay, outside of Bryce Young, I think
Okay.
that's the obvious.
Okay.
Outside of Bryce Young, yeah.
It would be the receivers making the plays when needed.
Okay. Yeah, I'm kind of with you. A lot of talk is about Alabama's defensive backs against Tennessee's wide receivers, and I think that is critical. But I'm at the point where I think Tennessee's going to get what they get. Regardless of how well the defensive backs play for Alabama, because they're one of the best offenses in the country, Jake. They average 46 points a game,
Right.
so they're gonna put some points on the board. They're going to move the ball some, but it's about limiting the explosive plays that the Tennessee offense makes. So I think that's, I'm not going to say that's an area of concern. I just think that's something to watch. But I'm with you, Jake. The Alabama receivers need to step up and make plays for this offense this week. I think that's really the biggest factor in this matchup is the receiver stepping up and making plays, and can they find a true number one target? I think if Alabama can come out of this game with a win and you kind of have some more belief or more, just a more understanding of who this primary target is for Alabama on offense, I think that's a win for this team because, regardless if they win or not, Jake, the season's still out in front of them, Jake. I mean, they have all the opportunities in the world to return to the SEC championship game and the college football playoff, regardless of what happens in this contest. But I think you need to learn a little more about this team in this matchup, and I think you're going to.
I agree. You're talking about the defensive backs. I feel like the defensive backs and the corners we had this year, they're improving each week. They was going heavily after Arnold last week, and when he needed to make a big play, he did. I mean, he had a good position on that I guess 2-second 2-yard line, 2-second throw. He was in great position. Another thing I want to say that could be an X factor in this game is Alabama's special teams. But I feel like Kool-Aid is just, I mean, he's this close to breaking a punt return, taking it back. So this may be the game where he does that. So I like to see how that plays out today. And I would pump the brakes on Will Rocker having issues. I still believe in him. He just had an off night. I don't think he's going to have back-to-back off days. So,
well, I mean, one of the misses was a 50-plus yarder. I mean, that's you're not going to make all those anyway.
Right, exactly.
And the other one is just it's just one of those things. He's human. He's not perfect.
Exactly. Yep.
I one other question I'd like to ask you, Jake, before we get to our score predictions. How what do you feel like will be a turning point in this contest for either team that's going to be the deciding factor in the matchup?
Well, one is like I just mentioned, if Kool gets a punt returner and returns it to the house, that could be a big swing of momentum for Bama. And on the flip side, if Hendon Hooker comes out early and often, and just shreds the defensive backs like he has everybody else, it could get ugly early. But I just think Alabama has been playing this bend but don't break type defense. They may between the 20s they may get down, score and move the ball on us, but when it gets inside the red zone, Alabama clamps down, and that's when they usually play their best defense. So um, I think a big special teams moment could happen to swing the momentum either way today.
Yeah, absolutely. And when you talked about the between the 20s, Jake, I'm right there with you. I think Tennessee is going to get their yardage there, but I think the turning point in this contest is going to be red zone defense for Alabama. I think you're going to see an Alabama defense force a couple of Tennessee turnovers in the red zone, and
Yep.
that's really going to turn the momentum for the game to in favor of the Crimson Tide. And I think you're going to see Alabama prevail in this matchup of top 10 teams. I think it's going to be a really good game for probably, you know, 3 quarters of the contest and maybe even most of the fourth quarter. But I think Alabama is going to really pull away late because of a turnover late in the contest by Hendon Hooker or Tennessee on offense. And I think you're going to see Alabama prevail. But, Jake, we've kind of discussed the matchup. We discussed both teams. It's time for our score predictions. The Alabama's favored around 7 or 8, kind of depending on who you look at. First of all, does Alabama cover, and what is your score prediction for this contest?
Early in the week when Bryce's, injury situation was unknown at the time, there was speculation he wasn't going to play. I thought it was going to be like a field goal game in Alabama's favor. Now he's playing. I think Alabama can cover. Um, I I want to say like a 38-28 type game. 10 to 14 points, Alabama. Uh, I know a lot of people's talked about their road struggles. I think Alabama comes out and punches Tennessee early in the mouth and tries to quiet that noise down. And I think the defense continues to play great. And I think, like you said, Hendon Hooker makes a mistake late. And I do think depth as well comes in late in the game as well. So that I just think Alabama's got too much with Bryce Young. And I think they're going to win like 38-28, 38-24, something like that.
Yeah, I'm pretty much right there with you around that window. I'm with you as how the game's going to play out as well. I think entering the fourth quarter, you could see the contest be like, Alabama up 28-21, something like that. And Alabama shut Tennessee out in the fourth quarter. And, maybe Alabama gets a couple of touchdowns there late to kind of seal the victory for Alabama. I'm going to go 42-21
Nice.
with Alabama getting a touchdown late to really expand that lead and put the game away. And I think you're going to see a Bryce Young who's very focused and ready to play after missing last week's game with an injury. And I think you're going to see an Alabama team kind of make a statement here against
Yep.
Tennessee.
Yeah, I agree 100%. This has all the feeling of a statement win for Bama. A lot of naysayers right now in the media, and there's a lot of people not picking them to win today, even with Bryce playing. So, this has a feel for a Saban's, just go out and dominate top performance for Bama today.
Yeah, absolutely. And I would like to point out, just so I don't sound completely biased, I would not be surprised if Tennessee won. I mean, they're
Mhm.
certainly capable. They're at home. The crowd is going to be, just
Electric.
unbelievable there at Neyland Stadium. Hendon Hooker's one of the best quarterbacks in the country, and when you have that type of player at quarterback, you have a chance every single week. And I certainly wouldn't be surprised if Tennessee was able to pull off the upset.
Yeah, that's also there, but you know, Tennessee has not met a Will Anderson yet. They have not seen a defense like Alabama's yet. So,
Yep.
You had that as well. Can Hendon Hooker make the plays with Dallas Turner, Will Anderson, Henry To'oTo'o, all them guys in his face on a 3rd and 7, 3rd and 8 situations? If they want to have success, they've got to keep it within like 3rd and 3, 3rd and 4 to have success against that pass rush on the 3rd down situations.
Yeah, absolutely, absolutely.
Mm-hmm.
All right, well, we're both predicting Alabama to win, and we're both predicting them to cover the spread there in Knoxville this afternoon. 2:30 kick on CBS. Cannot wait for that matchup. But
Mm-hmm.
for Stacey and Jake, that's been another episode of Tide Talk Live as we preview the Alabama-Tennessee matchup. Thank you so much for watching. If you're not already, hit that subscribe button, hit that notification bell, give this video a thumbs up, and drop your score predictions there in the comment section. But thank you so much for watching, and until next time, roll tide.
Roll Tide.